We'll do now.
Welcome back, everybody. As we did not have audio there, but it is going to be an amazing matchup of Natter X Community Beta Clash with Shikigami versus DKFanClub. Sorry about that, but again, I'm Wizcast joined by MFG. Should be an amazing match.
Definitely. This is going to be a really awesome one to see. I'm super stoked to be casting for this community tournament. As we know, this beta form of Overwatch 2 is super exciting. We've had it for about, I want to say maybe 2 weeks now, and we've seen a lot, both from Overwatch League and our community tournaments.
Yeah, and I think you have a lot of, you didn't have like a crazy amount of tournaments, I think, for this beta in particular. This is kind of the biggest one, I think, so far. Obviously, this is being shown on the BPL channel, so if you're here from BPL, you know, we had a tournament ourselves, and I think I was watching yesterday, and I was actually doing some observation yesterday, and it was very interesting to see how the meta kind of evolved over the course of matches, because in particular what happened with the BPL beta tournament as well was teams were like, they had an idea of what they wanted to do going in, and they had to adjust it on the fly, because things don't always work out in practice, especially because a lot of teams didn't even scrim, or did very little scrim time, so, and obviously now this tournament there's been Overwatch League played, so people kind of have this idea of a meta coming in, but there's been, the difference is balance patches have come in for this tournament as compared to Overwatch League. They are still 2 balance patches behind, so the meta has really been changing in these matches that I've seen.
I'm really excited to see what the meta is going to continue to evolve in, because you're absolutely right. From the very first launch of the beta to where we are now, people have finally kind of started working out the bits and pieces, building on the patch notes, if you will. And Overwatch 2, we know it has a long way to go with more beta updates, but it's looking like a new, solid game. And this tournament, this match, is definitely going to be exhibiting that.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that's kind of changed is, even if you want to disregard everything in terms of a new hero, new maps, new mode even, if you want to disregard all of that, the biggest change that has happened is 5v5, is the pace change of the game, and kind of how fresh it is in terms of the pacing of it at high-level competition. And so far, we're kind of seeing a lot of teams just gotta adapt to that, and I've been seeing a lot of Lucio Moira for some teams that just can't seem to keep their backline alive. Ana Lucio is extremely strong peel backline. You just nade yourself and peels that Ana does not die a lot of the time, but that's not enough sometimes. So teams have been going, we're just gonna go fast. We're playing the Winston, very strong character still, has not received any nerfs, only been getting buffed in these balance matches, so that is something that has remained consistent, the strength of Winston. So we're keeping a lot of Winston, and then we're having Lucio with it, and it's kind of like, do we want the Ana or the Moira? And the Moira is kind of like, oh, we're just going to kind of be fighting them, and we don't have enough space for a backline to kind of function. It's kind of the idea behind it.
I really like how Winston's kind of become a jack of all trades, if you want to say, in Overwatch 2, because now that he's the only tank available on the field, if you look at him, he kind of covers all the bases. Like, you can dive, you can get there fast with your team, he has a shield for protection, and then that primal, like, not only does he get that health boost, but it also is able to kind of clear people out of the way like a tank is really supposed to do, you know, pave the way for the charge. So I'm really glad that Winston's becoming meta in Overwatch 2, because I think it really fits well, and it's kind of like the goal that I think the developers wanted when they made this game in the first place, like having one tank be versatile enough to be able to survive in that 5v5 format.
Yeah, and kind of like be self-sufficient as well. We've seen that with the Doomfist that has come in multiple times. We're seeing teams pick up that Doomfist in that position, and it's kind of this character that is ultra fast. The tempo has to increase when that Doomfist is on the field, because otherwise he kind of gets outperformed by the Winston in those mid-fight, because they have the bubble to help their entire team, not just themselves. They have like cleave damage that just goes through. They have a jump that is extremely versatile. So the Doomfist kind of has to play this ultra fast tempo, because they don't get that value early enough or fast enough. The Winston can outvalue them in the long run, but teams have become good enough with that Doomfist composition to just outright flatten opponents.
I'm very excited to see which of these teams will be running that kind of composition, or what they decide to run that's kind of more not what we expected, because going into this tournament, there's a lot on the line. We've got about $3,000 prize pool, which you can donate to. We got a crowd fund going. All the proceeds from those donations go directly into the prize pool to make sure these teams are fighting hard and playing to the best of their abilities. So if you want to go ahead and donate to such a wonderful community tournament, go ahead and click the link in the command.
Yeah, go click that link if you want to kind of donate, get that crowdfunding going. Already 3K plus in prize pool money already, which is amazing for this beta tournament, just to have these teams. And talking about these teams in particular, we have our two teams for you, Shikigami and DKFanClub, and I think it's kind of how we got here, right? This is a loser's bracket, so it is elimination matches. So looking at these teams, kind of how they got here, well, Shikigami lost to a team called 10 per 10 in their upper bracket, and then ended themselves here after a win yesterday. And so kind of seeing how that strength of that team fares up against the team that DKFanClub lost to, which is Pirates in Pajamas, which, I mean, if you know this team, if you look at these teams that was on that team, Icy, Seeker, Lep, Zera, like, those are amazing players in the tier 2 scene, so it's no surprise they kind of lost to that, but kind of see how they can bounce back from this one today, going to Shikigami, and see what these compositions are looking like. Looks like Sojourn's on the menu. Biggest difference you'll see from Owl, Sojourn absolutely not even present anywhere in that build, but now Sojourn received buffs, Soldier has received nerfs, and Soldier kind of covered that spot that Sojourn wanted to occupy.
Their names are similar enough, we might just end up having to replace Soldier with Sojourn. But yeah, these are pretty much the same compositions we're seeing from both teams, the only slight variation looking like the Tracer versus the Echo. Then we have the Doomfist versus the Monkey.
Wanted to go a lot faster with this Doomfist. Like I said, you have to go fast with it, but looks like this composition they're kind of running, it has more of that mid-range coming in with that Tracer and that Soldier, and so we're going to see how that, how Pebble can actually function in front of Bedtime Stories Sojourn. So this should be interesting to see how this matchup kind of go. I haven't got to see a lot of Sojourn, a high level of play, so seeing this kind of mid-range duel going is very interesting.
Really excited to see what these new heroes are going to be bringing into this match, but so far it looks like Abyss is going to be able to sleep kill the one from DKFanClub.
Alrighty, we're trying to see these fights kind of devolve now as the cap early going over to DKFanClub. It's going to flip over, but the fight is not in Shikigami's favor right now. It's Lava who is stepping in here, trying to just protect their honor. Playing this, like you said, versatility is kind of what the tank has to be, so playing this more protective style, not something you normally see.
But yet their point percentage is still ticking up in their favor, and DKFanClub is going to want to try to find a way to get in there really quickly. Bedtime Story already starting things off.
Bedtime Story is going to find that one Goob with the nade, going to take out the opposite Sojourn, and now you have this issue of, like, well, how can we get back in as Shikigami? Now at this point is likely going to go over. Lava's trying their best. The cap's already gone through, and your honor is now gone. Lava has to get away, not going to do so. And now, how does Shikigami get back into this with this kind of Sojourn Tracer? Like, where does your entry point lie?
They're going to have to map out that entry point really carefully right now, because DKFanClub has 3 ultimates, almost 4 to work with for this next defense. And Shikigami does have that nano, but nothing else there to combo it with. So as the fight begins, they're going to want to take out people fast.
Yep, already going to go through. Nano onto the Doomfist. They're getting a lot of value early. Like I said, early tempo is the name of the game, and now we have to see how does Shikigami want to play this now. They have the nano available for them. Deco has built up that beat for themselves. But how are we going to do this? We have the ultimate here from Sojourn, and it's kind of a feast or famine ultimate, right? You pop it, and then you're like, I have to hit heads. I have to click on those heads with this railgun. Otherwise, I am getting no value off this ult. Those other ults, like, even like a Soldier ult, it's like, I'm going to get value no matter what a lot of time because I just have aimbot.
Looks like, though, the Sojourn is going to be getting stuff done as Shikigami's Sojourn finds 2. This is exactly what they need right now. Just as you said, the value is coming through, and now it's up to the rest of the team to go ahead and capitalize. And it looks like that is what's going to happen as the point finally flips again.
Point finally flipping. Zebra trying to get some early pressure here onto this pivotal location. This is kind of a place where you see Monkeys hold, you see Doomfist hold, if on the defensive side, kind of when you have this point control, because you want to kind of deny them entry. Already though, it's going to be a Nano Monkey in. The punch is almost good enough, but they still have the leap for it.
And it looks like right now there's just going to be a run for cover. Shikigami looking good still right now. Nano used, but it doesn't even hurt them a single bit. Beat though, went ahead and got committed. Sure about that one.
Not sure about that one, and now Eco left without a beat, and this next engage is going to be massive. You're going to have the beat advantage here for your DKFanClub Lucio, and nothing else on the board for them. So Shikigami actually has a lot of advantages here, but that beat can just provide so much instant value in a fight, and actually so much time to build up ults of your own to try and get back in here, because again, that percentage is ticking up.
This could definitely be a point where DKFanClub can kind of take advantage of, because right now Shikigami's still looking strong, but that lack of the beat could end up to bite them in the butt during this next push, because DKFanClub already popping a beat of their own now, getting ready to get things started on point.
Yeah, already started on point. It is going to be an angry monkey here, just battering everyone around. Lava gonna be living very low HP. Gonna need a best to hit them with some of those shots, maybe even the nade. The nade's not gonna find anything, and now Fresh Fazbear is gonna find two, try to clean up this point. Bedtime Story, a DPS partner, is gonna get in there themselves. And now 85 to 99, and can Shikigami, almost off the cliff there, but can Shikigami get this cap going and get this first round on the board?
They can draw out the fight long enough, and if they can survive the onslaught of ult rush that DKFanClub has in their arsenal, there is a chance, but they're gonna have to play this really smart in order to avoid the damage as much as possible, but also do enough damage to gain their own ultimates.
Yeah, instantly Pebble there, gonna be taken out by the Sojourn ult. The Railgun so powerful when fully charged up. Board Sands not gonna leave it alone though. Did get two of their own. Meteor Strike is coming through. Someone's gonna have to touch this point though, and it's gonna have to be the Sojourn. The punch off, but they did get the recontest, so the wick did not go fully down. And it's the Sojourn making their appearance here in Overwatch 2 to clean up the fight and get them back into the round and take it themselves. An amazing play there from Board Sands, and really kind of showing off the power that this newly buffed Sojourn can provide your team.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that may have been a 4K. That is just impressive gameplay. As you said, the Sojourn now coming into the spotlight. Those are the kind of plays that you just love to see, though, because that really shows how these players are taking these new advantages from Overwatch 2 and using them to their greatest potential.
Yep. And right now, you're kind of having, I believe Zebra is just... I mean, Ziva's going to be playing the Doomfist also the entire time, known for that Doomfist back when it was a DPS, so now obviously having to swap over to the tank as well. A lot of it has transferred over, a lot of kind of the same ideas and principles do apply, but really for this new Doomfist, it is a tank. It is still a tank, still has tanking responsibilities. You cannot play it solely as a DPS, unlike Sojourn, who's already, again, making the mark in the series.
Already going swell for DKFanClub right now. Sojourn finding two, Zebra getting one onto Abyss. Now Shikigami is going to be forced to back out almost immediately here and let DKFanClub take it.
Going to be capturing here. Going to be trying to... I mean, Zebra dying late there is actually pretty bad for them. Yes, Sports Sands is still in spawn, but they do have a Lucio Moira. They can kind of get in here and start fighting you faster than normal. Obviously, everything else is... not really in your favor, but I mean, you're gonna get in here, you're gonna have some early presence, and Abyss can start charging up that coalescence.
Shikigami wants that to happen really quickly. You can kind of see that aggression coming in from Lava's dive, but the Sojourn battle is won by DKFanClub. Things are still up in the air as to who's gonna get the victory, but it looks like Bedtime Story getting Lava is gonna put that in the hands of DKFanClub.
Now we're gonna have kind of the DPS make their... really just assert themselves onto this point and into this fight, and they're going to be ending that real quick. It was a short flip there for Shikigami, but now DKFanClub back in control, and Shikigami has really nothing going for them. They don't have any ults, and DKFanClub is just going to start cycling them if they're not careful. They're really going to have to worry here. This top right positioning is super strong from the Doomfist and the Tracer. They kind of just, like you're seeing the Doomfist just punch them away whenever they try to come up here. It just means that this Tracer can just play from this position and pivot around it.
Definitely so. It's really going to be up to Pebble and Abyss to kind of get their ultimates online, since those are the characters that can get them really quickly. But Abyss dying off early is not going to be good here for Shikigami. And it looks like the Pulse Bomb does find Goob, but I don't know if they're going to be able to have much capitalization on there, but they're going to go ahead and try. But DKFanClub still very solid right now. The point has not flipped. Shikigami now trying to aggress. You can see everyone kind of going together as a group right now, hoping to get the first kill of the fight.
Yep. Now, Shikigami has the Coalescence available to themselves, but again, not everyone just grouped up in that massive anti-nade, showing off why that Ana is typically preferred over the Moira. Anti is just such a powerful ability, especially with no DM, typically, and no shields to stop it. But Pebble does not care about your anti-nade. It's going to take both the backline pieces out, and the Tracer can't trade on the backside of the fight. Flip is going to go the way, but 86% was acquired for DKFanClub, so they don't lose that fight with nothing. They did acquire a lot of percentage, but still, they're gonna have to find a way to finish this round out after not doing so last time.
People heard you about that Ana pick, and they go, "Are you sure about that?" That was just a really awesome play from them, and it was really at a crucial point, because even though DKFanClub did get 86 on the board, Shikigami did take it back, and now Lava's Primal picking out Goob first. Looking like that percentage is only going to be ticking up from here. Abyss finding Zebra really to cap it off. So Shikigami's kind of put themselves in a really good place right now.
Yeah, Shikigami kind of shutting them out so far, and the beat not being available now for DKFanClub. It's going to take a while to get that back online, and that is typically an ultimate you really need. Deco, 50% all the way there. So when Shikigami can get this up for that last fight, it's just such a massive advantage, and now going to be popping a Soldier and ult and just trying to get this going. But again, it's a feast or famine ultimate. It doesn't give you instant value or immediate value. Does find the Tracer eventually with the help of the slow orb damage, but still not going to be a crazy ultimate. Just kind of do some zoning and make them afraid.
Here we go. That zoning is looking pretty effective, but DKFanClub, they don't want to be afraid. They want to try to get in there as quick as they can, but Shikigami really wants to play this in a way where DKFanClub's going to kind of struggle a bit to find an opening, because right now it's really last fight territory for both teams, because after this, if Shikigami wins, then we're done, and if DKFanClub wins, then Shikigami's going to have to change to those fast touch characters. But look at that. Kills flooding in thanks to the Shikigami DPS. Things are looking good for them right now.
And this kill feed has been lit up by DPS the entire time. That's one of the biggest differences now in Overwatch 2. Your DPS have so much room to roam, and that's going to allow Shikigami to take it in a 2-0 fashion here on the first point of Ilios. And the first map of Ilios. And now you're going to kind of have to ask yourself for DKFanClub, like, do we start to change things up depending on what map we want to go to? It might be the case. They lost in that Sojourn Tracer mirror, which wasn't something I saw a lot of yesterday, but seems to be what these two teams have decided are the better strategies to go for. So now I kind of wonder, like, do you swap it up? Do you want to go to other ideas, other kind of compositions, and try to pick maps that support that?
We know from all of our gameplay in Overwatch 1, normally people like to stick to the meta even if like they're losing the battle, because they say like, oh, it's meta, nothing else can beat it, it has to be this versus this. Like, our famous example is goats versus goats, obviously. No one would really variate from that. But at the same time, you kind of mentioned map picking, and I think that's a really good strategy, because if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is going to be a loser's pick. So I think that DKFanClub is going to be able to kind of take things into their own hands this time. So if it's like they're not going to be able to switch up their composition, maybe they're going to be able to pick a map they have really good positioning practice on.
Yeah, but I think that comment for me might have been a bit short-sighted, given the fact that it's going to be Push as our second map. It goes Control, Push, Escort. So there's only 2 push maps to choose from. I don't think anyone's figured out if either of them have a different style that supports. So it's like, which push do you choose for a different style? We don't know. It's still such a new, fresh game mode that people haven't figured out yet. I think that's one of the biggest things for like 2CP was like, it was figured out in a very big way. 2CP was figured out, and you kind of saw the same stuff every single time. Like, I would cast and I would be like, okay guys, this team likes Rush, we're going to Hanamura, and we're going to see the TP strat, yada yada. But now, I don't know what we're going to see from the push. I don't know if we're going to see Soldier and Tracer again. That seems like kind of the natural kind of movement towards that, because currently in Owl, that kind of meta that's kind of associated with push right now is Tracer Soldier. So Sojourn, if they swap in for that Soldier because of those nerfs that came in and the buffs that came in for Sojourn, that might be interesting to see how that goes again on a different environment. Obviously, push has kind of had this kind of weird reception because it has some issues, but one of the biggest ones is first fight. Even more so than control is so important, because if you can get a good first early lead, it becomes extremely difficult to rubber band it back into yourselves.
That is definitely true, just the whole nature of push where it's new and also like so crucial to win that first fight. So I am interested to see, like you said, if it's going to still be the same composition we saw on Ilios, or if different game modes kind of require different compositions. So we're still waiting on that map pick, but
Coliseum.
Coliseum.
Oh, my bad. Coliseum. Gotta use the proper name. Yeah, I mean, going to Coliseum, it makes sense, quote unquote. I haven't seen like too much of it, and I think it's a little bit more enclosed in that first fight. We've seen a bit of rush gameplay from certain teams, but I think we're typically going to see just a Monkey or a Doomfist kind of go in with that like Sojourn Tracer kind of composition now. But I think right now it's too early to say, and I think it's really going to take some time to reiterate, which, you know what might actually help with that, MFG? Champria.
I agree.
Champria, a great sponsor. If you guys are kind of scrimming at home and you guys are trying to figure things out, I mean, Champria is a great addition. If you are an analyst, staff member, or player looking to grow your skill level in Overwatch, Champria.gg is the place where your journey to esports stardom begins. The only platform with match performance analytics for teams, Champria.gg is also introducing player-specific performance analytics this month. Head over to the platform, create your team, invite players, start scrimming, and upload your data today. And that's going to be really important moving into this new horizon of Overwatch 2.
Definitely so. Could not agree more. Everyone definitely check out Champria. You will not regret it. Their entire build, their software is really, really useful for anyone really aspiring to kind of get ahead in their esports career. So it's a great opportunity. Before we go on Coliseum, we should definitely go ahead and check that out.
Definitely do go on and check that one out for yourselves as we do head into the amazing streets of Rome. And might I say, these maps are beautiful. Oh, they are breathtaking.
It looks like there is one small substitution. It looks like for DKFanClub, we now have Jason on the Winston.
Yeah, Jason, known within the community on that tank role. Also known as a kind of sometimes flexing over the DPS, and sometimes you might not have loved that in your games, but on the tank, definitely a solid player here for DKFanClub. We'll see what they're going to be able to do. As again, it's going to be Sojourn Tracer, and they want to go over that Winston. Zebra obviously is much more inclined for that Doomfist, and so they want that Winston now for Jason. So makes sense that they are going to be coming in for that role. Winston, a very popular character right now, very strong character. Once again, we're in this mirror matchup, and again, first fight, so important. How are they gonna win this one out?
Both teams looking kind of passive right now. No one really going on the aggression. Anti-Nade flies in, but doesn't seem to get anyone from that. Now we see DKFanClub finally starting to kind of advance. Shikigami, they're kind of playing a little bit, I don't want to say passive, but they're not really going as aggressively as DKFanClub seems to be going. And with that early lead, it looks like they're going to be the ones kind of pushing the robot to begin. But now Shikigami is going to come and take their revenge right now, playing it slow, buying their time. But DKFanClub doesn't even want to play their game. Like, they really are just avoiding Shikigami's attacks right now and kind of turning the tables, if you will. You can see Shikigami, though, making sure that they kind of know what DKFanClub is trying to do there. It's kind of both teams reading each other's plans at the same time. And in all honesty, this fight's been flipping back and forth.
Yeah, and really it's kind of the decisive thing of who finally gets that robot pushing in a certain direction. They are going to have some reinforcements coming from DKFanClub. Shikigami might have to kind of give it a little bit here because their base is still coming back. They lost board sands really late. So now we're going to see if they can kind of maintain control over this push spot. Now that they have some kind of respawns coming back for themselves. Again, that bot is going to be in internal confusion about where to push as long as these two teams are around it. Not really deciding on one which way. Pulse Bomb's not going to hit it. But still, Bedtime Story is engaged.
Shikigami looking good right now. Lava finding that first kill. And then we got that Sojourn following it up. No tank left for DKFanClub. Forced to retreat. Shikigami now going to be in control of that bot. Gonna get themselves a healthy amount of distance coming here in this next few moments. DKFanClub, though, ultimate economy looking pretty good for them right now. Shikigami's gonna have to watch out.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things about push that maybe people aren't aware, you only really need one person on that push bot at any time because the speed does not change. Unlike a payload, it does not change if you have more people on it.
That is a really interesting factor because, like you said, payload, everyone says 3 on cart, 3 on cart, because the speed does kind of change a little bit, but I don't think the bot speed changes either. But it looks like DKFanClub, they want to make sure the bot is going to change directions instead of speed. Oh, Jason with that primal looking to find more and open things up for DKFanClub to kind of regain control, but Shikigami is not backing down. Beat though coming out for DKFanClub, wanting to keep the team alive as Lava pops that primal. Fresh Fazbear though finding Deco, what an important kill, but Pebble finding Jason. Important swaps are coming out right now from both teams. Still no decisive victor, but Lava getting bedtime story might turn things around for Shikigami.
And now Pebble's gonna have to back this one up, but they've done such a good job right now. These particularly their Winston and their Tracer here for Shikigami just surviving around this payload. Around this push, but I gotta kind of adjust that one there. But surviving around and just getting value, and really right now this is gonna enable them to get all the way up to that first checkpoint. Not gonna cap it because of how slow that push bot is going so far, but they're gonna get right up close to it as the fight starts to happen. I kind of want to see them maybe take some space and take some control, leave their Tracer on cart, let their Winston walk up around the corner. I don't think they're aware that multiple people on cart doesn't change the speed because they are just cuddling around it. You need to have just one person on it and just take map control, but they didn't do that. And in fact, they swap it. The push bot now going the opposite way. They need to now attack it. This is a big misstep for Shikigami and kind of not understanding the mode completely.
And that's one of the things of Overwatch 2, like really getting the odds and ends figured out about each game mode. And if one team knows something that you don't, that could be detrimental in these new kinds of tournaments. But it looks like Shikigami listened to you and they're finally turning things around, wanting to get control of that bot once more.
Again, imagine if that bot had remained where the barricade is, because now he's going to walk up to the barricade, start to push it. They could have probably had the checkpoint captured, which giving them those forward spawns, right? Oh my! What an amazing shot there to take out Goo. But remember, like if they had that point before, they might even have a contest here. Now the contest comes in a little second too late. Forward spawns are now enabled, and this bot is not going to be going fast enough for them to stop the forward spawns. There's going to be a fight on this checkpoint.
It looks like DKFanClub is going to be really desperate to win this here because of how much Shikigami has gained, but Pebbles pulls him onto Bedtime Story, who has swapped over to the Soldier now instead of the Sojourn.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit less feast or famine. Like, I kind of... Oh my! Oh my! Blood Sands! 2 railgun shots is all they need. They're playing Quake out here! And now they're gonna try and clean up this point off the back of that amazing Sojourn. Like I said, Feast or Famine is the character, and right now they had a 7-course meal. And now it's time. Can they stop this? This is kind of the point where some people could say push becomes unwinnable for DKFanClub. They have the first checkpoint. They have the respawn control. It is so tough to come back from this position.
Sojourn play was just stellar, and that's exactly what you want in a mode like this, because like you said, now Shikigami is in such a great advantageous spot right now. DKFanClub may be winning the fight right now, but they're gonna have to push it a long way to kind of really tie or get ahead of Shikigami's progress. So in this game mode, I feel like it's really important to win as many fights as you can, and if you have a good DPS like this Sojourn player to do it, it's gonna put your team in a really good spot.
Finally, bot does end up hitting that barricade, and now the Nano Genji comes in. Bit of an adaptation in this 5v5 format. Also don't come up as often, but one thing that remains constant, Nanos are way faster than Blades these days, and so they're just trying to build up that Blade for themselves, but it's not gonna matter. The counter Nano here onto the Sojourn, but there's no extra healing. They're gonna go down despite it.
Oh man, DKFanClub looking like they might win this one, although Shikigami kind of flipping things around, so to say. You could see Lava super low, but yet they're able to get a kill on the Fresh Fazbear. That's not something you want for DKFanClub, because you would really want to, you know, finish the Winston off, especially in that kind of crucial moment where you want to keep the bot in your direction. But now, though, they're going to come back to the start, like where we were in the beginning. But, ooh, Goob. Do not want your Ana to be down that early, but such a sneakily clever play there from Pebble, putting things in Shikigami's hands. DKFanClub, though, Jason popped the Primal, wanting to keep things going for them, and does find Pebble in the end. DKFanClub has to capitalize on the work.
Anti comes through. Jason has to back up now. Lava can just go forward with reckless abandon now that they have the primal available. Much harder to kind of burst down that Winston, but still going to be getting some respect to it. They also have the Sojourn ult. A Sojourn, again, very similar names. Ult up for both sides here in the Blade as well. It's going to be a mirage of ultimates, or a myriad of ultimates here for both sides.
It looks like the ultimates coming out from DKFanClub are getting work done as Fresh Fazbear finds 2 with the Blade. Oh, Jason finding Deco as well. Goob even ending it on Lava. This is really DKFanClub's chance right now. This is kind of really the first time that they've fully successfully won a fight, and they're able to kind of get some good distance on their bot. So Shikigami's got to watch out to make sure that the tide doesn't change right between their eyes, and we're in overtime territory right now. So DKFanClub has to push it farther than Shikigami, or Shikigami needs to stop DKFanClub right here, right now.
Oh, the anti of the backline, Pebble and Lava combined with pressure and take out Goob once again. The Ana for DKFanClub not able to stay alive. And again, first to 2 format, 1 already on the board for Shikigami. They're cleaning up this fight, and they're going to take this one 2-0 on to push. And man, what a great time for Shikigami. And I don't think we mentioned it before, but is a well-known team in Tier 3. No, it's really expected for them to do this well so far in this tournament, and kind of see how far they can go in this tournament as a whole. But right now, Shikigami looking on fire right now, is particularly Board Sands on that Sojourn. Ooh, absolutely incredible.
Could not agree more. The gameplay there from Shikigami, particularly with those DPS, was just so clean, and their aggression really helped them capitalize where it mattered, particularly on push. We were just talking about how winning as many fights as possible is really going to put you in a good position with that bot. But even if we want to backtrack on Ilios, their aggression there served them well.
Yeah, aggression served them incredibly well there. And in the mirror, it seemed that DKFanClub could not hold up Sojourn and Tracer. Look for that further into the tournament, or any other meta adjustments. I think even in the Overwatch League, we're seeing very minor meta adjustments as the week goes on, and I've been absolutely loving to see it as someone who kind of thrives on those kind of tiny little swaps of compositions. I don't think changes too much, but changes just enough to make the difference. And we'll see if that kind of holds true in this tournament, which is kind of a big just conglomeration of a lot of teams, a lot of minds of what they want to do in Overwatch 2. They've had some time to study the pros, but they also on a different patch, and they have to make their own ideas and their own assumptions about things. And so far, for these two teams in this matchup in particular, Sojourn, Tracer, the 2 biggest winners so far. But yeah, absolutely amazing series.
Overwatch League better be taking notes, because these new adaptations of this kind of new meta from these patch notes is really something fun to see, and something that's really working out in Shikigami's favor. So like we said in the beginning, unfortunately this is an elimination match, so we are going to be saying goodbye to DKFanClub. I do want to say that they did fight very hard, and there were a lot of moments that I really enjoyed seeing. There were definitely times where the fights were really close.
Yep, but for me, Worstcast and MFG, that's going to be it for us. We're going to go to another match very quickly. We're going to have Rose and Dividing, or Rose Hour and Dividing, take you through that one. Should be a banger cast and a banger match, as we're going to get that. Going to be a short break before that, though, so don't go anywhere. Stay here on the BPL channel, or go over to Natter's channel if you want to watch the matches they have going on over there. Showed some bangers as well. I think it's Bull Skunk and Chef Billy, so absolutely amazing casters there as well. So go over to Natter's official channel if you want to watch some action while this break goes on. But that is it for us. Worstcast and MFG signing off.
Hey guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the tournament. I just want to take 1 second to talk about something that sort of resonates with me. growing up, my family wasn't super, supportive of video gaming and esports and whatnot, as most families are not. My parents really wanted me just to study really hard, or play real sports like soccer and whatnot. So I didn't really have, a way to, play with other friends or, meet people online. So I've actually partnered with Esports Tower. Esports Tower is a club level program for students that are, 13 to 18 years. It's a year-round program where essentially students get 3.5 hours of coaching a week, and you get opportunities to play in like tournaments, and meet like other like influencers in a particular game. So I'll be offering a 2-week free trial to that program. And if you want to keep going, I believe it's like $5, so it's pretty affordable. But I highly suggest checking it out. I honestly wish going back, if I had these options, like to just like do a club and sort of like meet people or like-minded, I think I really would have enjoyed that. As well as they also, help, high schoolers meet colleges, and, maybe look at collegiate scholarships, which I think is really huge. So yeah, definitely check them out, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the tournament.
Hello, this is Jeff from Map 5 Podcast, and I'm here with Ice. Have a little discussion about Overwatch 2. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, my friend?
I play tank for Pirates in Pajamas, and I've been playing tank in Contenders for the last couple of years, off tank to be specific. But now in Overwatch 2, I am a tank player.
It's all in one, right? Like, is there even a discernible difference anymore? It feels like the lines have blurred.
There's no more second tank, so now the main tank player has to play all 8 characters. Obviously, it depends on meta, but as you see in Overwatch League, they thought that the meta would be off tank, so they picked up a bunch of off tank players. And then very quickly it switched to Winston. So learning all these heroes is definitely going to be difficult for tank players moving into Overwatch 2.
What's been your favorite part of the beta so far? I know you've been playing a ton of it. What's been your favorite aspect?
Probably Doomfist. I love Doomfist. I love all the changes. I think Orisa, really, really fun character. Doomfist as well, just super, super fun. All the characters they changed, they did a really good job with. They said that they're going to do the same with supports and DPS as well. So I think if they do that, it'll be really, really fun for like all the roles.
This actually leads very nicely into my next question. So we know the beta is coming kind of in iterations. What would you like to see added in the next iteration of the beta? You're talking about changes in DPS, changes in supports, anything specific there, or is there something else that you'd like to see added to help improve the beta overall?
I think making supports and DPS more fun should be ideal, because I'm used to Overwatch 1 where tank queues are less than a minute. So I would really like it if they added a support character or two. DPS, maybe change some of them a little bit just so I can have less of a queue time. That'd be cool.
Let's get some of those players over to the support side. It's a good sign for the direction, though, right? Because what they did, like you say, with Doomfist, with Orisa, a lot of the changes are a lot of fun, and that's been reflected in those queue times.
Yeah, whoever's in charge of that is doing like a really great job. I think Orisa's kit they took her from the most boring hero in the game by far to the most enjoyable hero in the game.
You can't argue with that in the slightest. Let's shift our focus a little bit. Let's talk about the community. Let's talk about Path to Pro. If you could make one improvement to the Path to Pro season going into 2022, what would it be?
I think getting the people who are doing good in Path to Pro, putting more of a spotlight on them, showing team atmosphere, kind of like what they do for Overwatch League, but do it for contenders teams, because a lot of the players that are moving up from Tier 2, you don't know much about them. For example, like Vulcan moving up, he's a very quiet person, and unless you're like on a team with him or friends with him, you don't know much about him. And if they did something where it's like, oh, meet Vulcan, right? Or like inside Odyssey's team, and then they just like do a little video of what it's like to be in a scrim with them, I think that would be really cool and increase viewership for contenders as a whole.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I'm over here taking notes. Yeah, maybe us at Map 5 can contribute to that a little bit. That's absolutely brilliant. The beta brings a lot of new drive moving into the future and kind of renewed energy for the scene. What is one thing that you hope to see moving into a new era of Overwatch?
Definitely more of kind of what I just talked about, where it's like you feel more connected to the other players, like you know more about them. Jonak, for example, where he's like, everyone knew who Jonak was, and he built that for himself of like playing so much over the years. But these newer players that are just joining the league, unless you watch their stream, you don't really know who they are. Being able to like connect players to fans, or just players to players in general, and just building a community around that would be really beneficial.
I love it. I love your emphasis on spotlighting the T2 players. I think that's really important. And I mean, going back to the Jonak example, I mean, you know the octopus tattoo, it had a real identity to it, even that was reflected in that skin. That brings us to the end of our formal questions. Any final thoughts here before we move on with our tournament?
Shout out to my team, Pip. A lot of the players we have are former talent you've seen from a couple of my past teams, like Lep, Nas, Seeker. All really great players. They're getting better every day. And then we have some tier 3 players that we're bringing up. Zira, he's really, really good at Tracer. He's definitely on the come up. We make fun of him because he sounds like Zoms. It's really funny. And then we also have Pink, who's a starter, our flex support. He's also really great. He's like 15. He's definitely going to turn into a really great player. And then also Peace, the Genji player, has a ton of potential, but you'll probably have to wait a bit to see him in officials.
Well, we certainly look forward to it. Hey, Icy, thank you so much for taking the time to come talk with us. Really appreciate you, my friend. And, well, let's get back into the Natter Beta Clash. We'll see you in the next one.
Hello everybody, the losers bracket in the Natter Community Beta Clash wears on, and teams are fighting in a gauntlet to try and make it to day 3 of this tournament. My name is Dividing. I'm joined here today by Rose Hour, and we're here to bring you an exciting losers round 6 matchup between Boston's Finest and Bearclaw. Rose, these are two teams that you honestly wouldn't have expected to see here in the losers bracket this early on, struggling to make it to day 3.
Yeah, no, it's really quite incredible, just the level of competition that has been drawn to this tournament. I mean, obviously with a prize pool of, at the start of the day, well over $3,000 USD. The caliber of teams that have shown up is really quite impressive. I mean, depending on how well-versed you are in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 lore, these teams actually start to hit that upper caliber. On Boston's Finest, you have Infected, well-known in that regard. X-Cal, some of you might know from just around the scene. Again, I cannot stress this enough. The caliber of player in this match is one of these teams is going home, Dividing. One of them is not progressing to our next day of matches, and that's, again, just looking at the strength of the rosters, it's really incredible.
It's crazy. I'm especially excited as someone who's casted a lot of collegiate Overwatch over the last year or so. Excited to see Boston's Finest because a lot of their roster hails from the Bay State collegiate roster, which if you have not really been following collegiate this year, that is a top 5 roster in collegiate Overwatch right now. They have done fantastic this season, competing in literally everything and doing very well in all of them. You can expect the DPS combo of potentially Depresso and Forgotten from them, as well as Infernal potentially on an off-tank role if they end up coming in for Infected, and then also you have Neb on main support starting for them. So there is a lot of really good players on this team, and Bearclaw is no different, being a team that has been near or at the top of Tier 3 for like 6 months now. It's crazy.
Again, it is important to know that this is an entirely new game. This is a whole new playing field we're playing on, and starting out on Lijiang Tower, what's going to be really important is noticing how these teams over the course of the tournament have sort of lended themselves more to that Sojourn heavy play, and dive and variations thereof, like the Monkey and the Doomfist, especially relevant on these control and push maps. But it looks like Boston's Finest is actually going to be opening with the Rhine Rush, which, as far as keeping it simple, is about as close to it as you can get.
You know, I think maybe they watched London win their matchup today and going, hey, maybe that actually looks pretty nice. Maybe we'll try and do something like that. So they're going to be going up into this white room, and the close range proximity of this Reinhardt and this Reaper and this Mei is going to make it very difficult for Bearclaw to be able to directly challenge them in the side room. So they're going to decide to push over onto the point themselves and try and dare Boston's Finest to come down and try and challenge them. Playing a little bit of a ring around the rosy right now as the team switch positions, kind of poking back and forth. And the longer this goes, it feels like the more it's going to enable Bearclaw here, who are a little bit better at getting around to the back as the dive comes in, but it's instantly found out. I'll be the best, takes down Astra next, and Infected with a fantastic charge on to Bun is almost certainly going to toll the bells here for Bearclaw, and first point control goes to Boston's Finest.
You know, something really interesting about this compositional matchup as Bearclaw actually switch off of the Winston onto the Reinhardt is the fact that the lack of the Ana on Bearclaw, instead opting to that variation of 6-man early on, they are not actually able to connect those big playmaking anti-grenades, which have been so impactful at the pro level.
And now Bearclaw going with a couple swaps of their own. They're going to try and match Boston's Finest at their Reinhardt game, but Bun on the Sojourn is going to allow them to play at a much longer distance than Boston's Finest can right now. We'll see if that gamble is going to end up paying off, because you still have to get that railgun through Infected's Reinhardt shield and the Maywall that just came up from Depresso, sectioning Bearclaw off from each other, and Astronex can't get around in time. The main tank goes down, and that is huge as the Earth Shatter comes down from Infected to clean up the kills. That increased control from the charge is going to send Infected right into the spawn room of Bearclaw.
Boston's Finest taking such a proactive fight there, knowing that that Moira had to be closing in on the Coalescence. They identify as soon as Astronex steps a little bit out of position, the Maywall comes up from Depresso, and Boston's Finest collapse on Astro.
Just collapse immediately, and now 60% and counting for Boston's Finest. Bearclaw has to get something going. They're trying to get the aggression with the Coalescence, but again, the sectioning off from Boston's Finest, it really seems like they just have a better understanding of how to play this rush in the 5v5. Bearclaw might have made a little bit of a mistake trying to match them on this comp style.
And with no Coalescence, you'll only have the sound barrier to answer with what can be used as a very defensive Mail, but the Mail's forced out early because Neb falls.
Yeah, Neb's down early. That's huge for Boston's Finest. You don't have the ability to get out of the fight. You don't have that beat either, forcing them to back up now. And this is where Bun is going to start to get even more value. When the fight gets more and more chaotic, you're going to be able to get that railgun through. Haven unleashes the Death Blossom, but doesn't quite find anything. I'll be the best is forced to use the Immortality Field, and there's the Shatter from Astro next. Gets past Infected, and that is going to be Bearclaw flipping the point over, but 99% for Boston's Finest. Bearclaw have to be perfect on this defense.
I mean, as long as Astronex can mitigate the value Infected will get with this Shatter coming up, Bearclaw's comp actually has a lot of staying power when it comes to being able to maintain pressure on the point and just being able to maintain touches and draw away Boston Finest's attention. Bun on that Sojourn will be able to take up such an advantageous position with this Sojourn, which is actually going to be popped right away.
Yeah, the overdrive used from Bun, and it is getting a lot of pressure on this team. Able to take out Neb, but it's only one. Meanwhile, Astro's been picked off on the other side, and that's a trade that Boston's Finest is going to take any day of the week, because it gives Infected so much room to just stand loud and proud on the point. Boston's Finest have taken it back, and Bearclaw have to scramble to try and get anything done here. Astronex getting battered around by Infected right now. That Reinhardt cannot even touch the point at the moment. And while Bearclaw do have a couple of members still around heroes, it is looking like Boston Finest point to lose.
There's just so much damage coming through. Kizaru is nowhere close to the Coalescence. If Graham can get the beat off, there might be a chance, but with the Reinhardt down, Bearclaw Gaming is pulling at shreds. Haven, though, closing in on the Death Blossom could make something happen as long as the appropriate space is bought.
Well, but here's the beat from Neb, followed up by the Shatter. And it zones Bearclaw off the point for just long enough for the overtime wick to burn down. Boston's Finest go up 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, again, that was Boston's Finest converting that all-important first fight on Control into an ultimate advantage, which they then snowballed, especially as Bearclaw switched up their comp, which, you know, depending on the situation, can really be a death sentence on this control game mode, because you lose so much in terms of ultimate economy. You already have your positioning lost, and it didn't seem like the game plan was quite in place from Bearclaw to be able to fundamentally approach Boston's Finest comp with a response. It was looking like they were just trying to force the mirror to see what sticks.
However, as we move on the night market here, Bearclaw are going to go back to that Winston-based dive composition, and Bun is going to be going onto that Echo. Night market, a very open Lijiang map. You're going to have a lot of room for her to work. But using that Lucio speed boost, Boston's Finest are able to get on point first. So once again, it is them taking positions and trying to force Bearclaw to try and make a move to them. And Astro says, okay, no problem, man. I'll go in and dive in and get your Reaper out. That's a large majority of your damage, but Astro gets traded out for it. And with this, I mean, once again, you just have to try and figure out how to dislodge Infected. Has barely died at all throughout this entire game, and it has been rough for Bearclaw to try and figure out how to deal with this tank.
Infected has just been repeatedly barreling in there. The pressure not at all on IBTV, so that he can just continue to pocket Infected. Infected has had the full power of the Reinhardt pumped up with both supports from Boston's Finest, and it is evident in the amount of value he's getting on this character.
Yeah, you can see how I'll Be the Best has really been getting a lot of value as well. The Ant Matrix already up for the team, and that is just going to zone Bearclaw away. They have to respect the double damage that's going to be coming through from that. Kizaru actually got very low. As a result, you can't be losing your Moira this early, especially when they're so close to that Coalescence. But you managed to stay alive here. And now it's looking like it's about time for the Engager. Kizaru has a Coalescence available, and in comes the dive. The Shatter from Infected finds nothing this time around. The Immortality Field is going to barely keep that Reinhardt alive, and here comes the beat from Neb, trying to explode back onto the point here. But still, no one has died yet. Both teams doing a fantastic job of playing around each other's shields, as few as they have in this version of the game. And Infected is going to take Graham hopefully off the map, but it doesn't quite happen. Now the Blizzard comes out from the Presso, zones everybody away, but not quite enough. Bearclaw have their ults available at just the right time, and it's just going to be a matter of time before they clear Excal off the point and take the point for themselves.
I mean, this is some classic six-man dive that we're seeing out from Bearclaw. Even without the D.Va in the mix, it's still the same concept to build, take poke damage on the monkey to feed the Moira as much ult charge as possible, and then just run in and hope you can out-ult cycle them. And that's exactly what they did in that last fight, as they look to set up another fight on the high ground here. Bun with the duplicate in her hands, maybe looking to try to copy Orion, get an Earth Shatter off.
Ooh, look at Bun here trying to get a bit of an assassination off on the Depresso. Doesn't quite do it, so back to plan A. It's gonna be the duplicated Reinhardt here, of course. The Echo only has 300 health in this form. You gotta be a little more careful than you were before, but that pressure is doing so much for Bearclaw right now. Bun doesn't even have to do anything, just her presence forces Boston's Finest back to spawn.
Yeah, and it was actually this placement onto I'll Be the Best right at the beginning of that fight. I believe it was the dive from Astronex, maybe comboed with a boop from Graham, that forced out that MO so early, and IBTV was still stuck in the backline because of the cleave damage from the duplicated Reinhardt. There's so much importance here on Boston to be able to convert this ultimate advantage into point pressure, which it looks like they're just going straight to it.
Yeah, they're gonna go right to the point now, opening up with that amplification. Matrix trying to keep Excal alive through the Death Blossom, and it is going to do it. That is a 2K for the Reaper in this fight. And as quickly as it started, it is going to be cleaned up. Boston's Finest with a clean engagement takes the point back with 80% and counting.
And it was the decisiveness in their rotation to go coast, ignore the fight in main, that just gave them free access to the point, and Bearclaw didn't have a response up in time, and it's been that proactive decision making that's put Boston's Finest over the edge so far in this head-to-head matchup.
This is looking tough here for Bearclaw. They really don't have very many ults to work with right now. Graham's still 20% away from that beat, and you're gonna need it pretty soon. Depresso is gonna come up on that Blizzard very quickly. Infected trying to pin someone against Infected's wall, and it does not happen quite yet. There's the beat from Graham, and there's the dive from Bearclaw, 99% and counting. They have to get something done here or take the loss on Lijiang Tower. This is the first of two, so losing map one would be massive, and that is, unfortunately, looks like it might be happening here unless we can get something crazy coming out from Bun, but it cannot happen. Excal is able to pick off the Echo as soon as she touches the ground, and Boston's Finest takes Lijiang.
And Boston's Finest there did such a good job of picking and choosing when to do their fights. In addition, Graham on the Lucio for Bearclaw, I believe, was never able to actually convert those beats into real significant value because he was always forced to beat proactively. The 6-man dive comp necessitated it because of the amount of poke damage they take just on the entry against this this May Reaper comp. But there was no opportunity to convert that into actual kills because of the fact that Boston's Finest was just bunkering down with that Bap Lucio. Classic support comp straight out of Overwatch 1.
Yeah, and of course, it's really interesting to see Boston's Finest come out instantly with that Reinhardt-based composition, right? You saw Bearclaw come out with the Winston at the start of Control Center thinking, hey, we're just going to do the same thing that Overwatch League does, and Boston's Finest says, no, we're actually thinking more like maybe a London versus Boston kind of situation. And that's really kind of what we saw, right? Boston's Finest came out with the brawl instantly. Bearclaw tried a bunch of different things to try to adjust, but it really feels like they haven't scrimmed very much against that kind of composition and struggled to figure out how to deal with it.
Well, I also think a good bit of the problem was the inability from Bearclaw to sort of identify the crucial aspects of their comp which weren't getting value, which I believe was really Kizaru on the Moira. I would have liked to see a switch over to the Ana in reaction to it, but man, you know, dividing analysis of the game, let alone competing at this level, is just such a monumental task. There's so many microcosmal details that go into like how you approach a matchup and how you play as a team. You know, I wish I had some coaching or some network to help me get into esports in a more serious manner like that.
Wow, I am so happy you mentioned that because one of the big sponsors of this tournament is Esports Tower. For $5 a week, same cost as a Frappuccino, Esports Tower will pair you with a professional coach and a team of committed players. Twice a week, you'll practice and prepare for bi-weekly competitive events. They also have industry insider talks, how-to workshops, and networking events that will give you exclusive access to pro players, general managers, collegiate coaches, and scouts. No other amateur club does more to help you improve your skills, as well as get you connected and considered for college and career opportunities. Thanks once again to Esports Tower for contributing to the Natter Community Beta Clash. We appreciate you.
Wow, I'm laying off coffee forever. But yeah, moving into this map 2, thanks again to Esports Tower for being such a generous sponsor for this event. Moving into map 2, it's going to be push, which, much like Control, puts a lot of importance on that first fight and being able to play styles that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
In Bearclaw, the pressure's really on for them now because obviously this is the losers bracket. They didn't really have the best showing in map 1. There is a lot of pressure on them now to be able to make the most out of this game mode.
I'd imagine that your goal, if you're Bearclaw right now, who I assume half the map pick of the losers of the first map, is probably to try and force Boston's Finest onto sort of a dive mirror with you, right? If you've kind of proven over Lijiang that you can't really win the Brawl mirror, and if you have them on Brawl versus you on dive, it also doesn't seem to work out very well for you. I think Bearclaw would be a lot more comfortable playing a Winston v. Winston kind of deal. So, with that in mind, do you think we'll be taking over to Coliseum or to New Queen Street?
I think New Queen Street is personally a little bit more flexible in terms of how you want to approach it. But I do think Coliseum has sort of been the more default comfort pick, as it seems to be simpler to approach as a map because there are more definite high grounds, more clear points on when to take fights and when to give up space. I do think that it could go pretty easily either way, but given Bearclaw's inclination towards the 6-man, there it is. There's New Queen Street.
Yeah.
It's just it's the ability to stage those fights and really emphasize the importance of dive because there's no place like Arches, like there is in Coliseum, to really bunker in that rush comp.
Yeah, it's a very, very open map, just in general. You're really able to kind of pick and choose your engages here. There aren't as many defensive strongholds as there are on some other maps, and this is, of course, probably going to benefit Bearclaw here. I think very solid choice, and a solid analysis from you, Rosauer, predicting the map choice from the team. And instantly, it seems like Bearclaw's getting what they wanted.
Yeah, clear coming in. Kizaru's making the switch over to the Ana. This is exactly what I wanted to see from Bearclaw. a slightly different look that still favors the playstyle they want to play, but also addresses how Boston has been playing. Obviously, Boston on the other end, I don't know if xCal is actually going to be sticking to the Sombra, but this seems like a pretty standard comp for the game mode.
I think the Sombra is a pretty interesting pick if you're anticipating that the other team is going to be playing dive and you want to go for sort of an anti-dive composition, especially against the Doomfist, right? Clear is very ability-focused, doesn't have a bubble like the Winston does to hide behind after the dive, so once that Sombra gets the hack off, you're basically a sitting duck here. And Clear is quickly starting to understand just how much pressure he's gonna be under here. Instantly hacks as you try and push in, trying to get focused down, gets under 100 health, but just barely manages to get away here as the first fight wages on.
And with the changes to hack, the manual hack as an ability where the Sombra is going to be more effective in hunting you down, that gives xCal a lot more opportunity and a much bigger window to punish Clear, as that uncontested anti-nade isn't going to come through onto the back line of Bearclaw. Boston's Finest take that all-important first fight here on Push.
Yeah, this first fight is so huge. Getting that robot pushing early, getting the advantage early on. Now Bearclaw's going to have to probably win multiple fights in a row to try and equalize here. Now the ultimates for Boston's Finest, my goodness. xCal and Depresso are probably going to have both the DPS ults up pretty soon. I'll be the best up very close to that nano boost. Infected's going to be very happy about that one. And Clear, well, Clear's going to have to figure out how the heck you're going to deal with this Sombra. You're hacked up again. You are not having a fantastic time so far.
Also, another great aspect that xCal Sombra does bring to the table is being able to scout out where Clear is trying to set up, and sometimes even deny him mid-fight, as that's not going to be the case this time around, though, as Infected falls.
Yeah, nicely done there from Clear. Able to focus down the tank on the other side, but here comes the Nano Vise from Depresso, trying to get into the back and find the back line. Is able to find Graham, but Kizaru was there with the sleep. However, has the damage been done here? Haven now with the Nano Visor on the other side, trying to clear things up. Is going to be able to finish off Neb. Is going to go up to the subway tower, try and find more. But again, that bubble from Infected.
Amidst all this pressure from Haven on the soldier, Bearclaw has kidnapped the robot. He's been brought back over to their side of the map, and they're now getting some significant push. Clear will go down, but Bearclaw now has the numbers on the cart and the cart moving forward. That was a very nice adaptive play from Haven and the rest of Bearclaw.
Yeah, very nice play, but now Boston's Finest have become wise to it. They're back on the objective here, and xCal was able to get the kill onto Haven, follow it up on the Graham. This Sombra is finding immense value so far in this game. I mean, not even like doing that much damage, just with the hacks and disrupting Bearclaw while they try and dive. It's been really rough for them to try and get any significant progress.
Yeah, and Sombra is one of those characters that at the moment is really sort of under the radar, so it's doubtful that Bearclaw would have anticipated or prepped for this. And again, we see Boston Finest seeming to have a more sound game plan than Bearclaw coming into this, and maybe that might lead to a little bit more of a compositional breakdown.
Okay, but Bun is going to be able to get into the back, take down Depresso, but again, Clear, hacked up, taken down by xCal. It just seems like the Doomfist counter right now, as now Infected is going to pop the Primal and just batter every member of Bearclaw around. They can't tell up from down right now, Rose Hour, as Boston's Finest are going to continue pushing forward and get that forward spawn, forcing the Zarya swap from Clear. What do you think they're hoping to accomplish with this one?
The Zarya swap over, Bearclaw really wants to just walk in, hard pocket the Zarya, and take fights as aggressively as possible. Space out those bubbles so that you can manage the pressure from the Sombra based on who's hacked. But really, this is Bearclaw's very bullheaded approach to find an answer, and I don't think it's going to quite work out in their favor.
xCal just owned Haven. I have no other way to say it. Of course, helped out with a nicely placed bubble from Infected, completely nullifying that tactical visor. But my goodness, the nano boosted Sombra, who would have thought would have absolutely melted people like that? As Bearclaw is finally going to be able to get a little bit, at least start the robot moving back towards the center of the map.
Coin a most iconic quote from Overwatch history. It does a surprising amount of damage. You know, you never expect, because again, Sombra isn't one of those characters right now that's hard meta, so you don't game plan for her coming in. And Bearclaw is struggling to find a response here as the visor is going to come out from Depresso.
Yeah, Depresso just trying to zone people away. Clear is very low, manages to find the Mega, but cannot find any teammates this time around. Graham is just not there in time to help speed your tank out of this fight, and that's going to open things up for the rest of Boston's Finest here. Bun trying to do whatever she can in the back, takes down I'll Be the Best, but it's not quite enough. Boston's Finest continue just tick time off of the clock, and at this point, that's all they need to do here. With a 50-plus meter lead, all they have to do is just make sure that Bearclaw can't get any more progress.
Actually, we're going to see one of the unique facets about push here, where a team will get the bot around the corner and then peel back immediately. They're not trying to fight the corner where they know they're going to have worse spawns. They're just going to try to stall the bot for as long as possible in what is generally neutral ground.
Nice leap there. Is going to just barely interrupt Infected here, but gets woken up instantly. And Kizaru goes down as a result. Don't wake a sleeping monkey like that. This is Overwatch 2. The game's been out for 5 years. You should know better than that. Because you will get punished for it every time.
There's only one tank now. I figured if I could just wake him up. Regardless, Haven will die to his own Helix rockets as Boston's Finest is going to begin to get this in. Clear with the grab.
Oh no! I cannot believe it. Infected just tank diffed Clear so hard. Actually just did the equivalent, the closest you can do on Winston to eating a grab. But Clear is now nanoed up, has 90 energy, is just going to be doing loads of damage. While the ultimate didn't get much, hey, you can just do it the old-fashioned way and get that bot moving. But again, it's looking dire for this team right now. Has to make up like 80 meters on Boston's Finest right now and only 70 seconds left.
Not only 80 meters, but the checkpoint as well, where the bot will stall itself out for about 15 seconds, it feels like. But also, the loss of that grab and having to invest the nano that early is going to make this neutral fight here around the middle of the map extremely difficult for Bearclaw.
It is extremely difficult for them to get anything done, but they do have the DPS to try and get something done here. Bun's going to be able to get the pick off on Depresso, but Haven is not as lucky. Going to get taken out in the middle of the tactical visor. But now, Bearclaw, they've got to get something done now. They got to get some real progress on this push bot. And it's looking like they're finally going to get past the 20-meter mark here, but they are missing players right now, Rose. They are missing resources. It's really just on how long Clear can sustain on this point by himself. You do finally have a friend here, and I believe that was Bud coming in to help move the cart around this corner, but Boston's Finest are setting up for another engage.
And Bearclaw need to take this fight on the point. Boston's Finest, they can afford to take a dry fight here. Just give it up because they have so much distance on Bearclaw in addition to the point cap. And the Primal's coming in. Haven falls to Xcal. Clear forced to pop the grab, and it's not netting anything.
Yeah, the grab came out from Clear, but was just bounced around by Infected. The follow-up was just not there, and Bearclaw, a tier 2 stalwart, could not stand up to Boston's Finest. They will take the 2-0 victory and secure themselves a spot in day 3 of the beta clash.
Something Boston did so well, and also, first of all, props to Bun for making every single fight at least look winnable with a pick here or there. But Boston's Finest doing such a good job at the fundamental aspect of Overwatch, which is, hero switches, hero picks. The way they really established how they wanted to play from a very early point in the series. And from that moment on Liege and Control, when they pulled out the Rhine, they have not let up the gas since.
Yeah, I think that is kind of the story of this match, Heroes Hour. Consistently, Boston's Finest were able to sort of stay one step ahead on a strategic level from Bearclaw, whether it was going with the brawl-based compositions on Lijiang or throwing in the Sombra on New Queen Street. It seemed like every time there was always a weird element in Boston Finest's matchup that just confused Bearclaw, and they just couldn't adapt in time.
And every time it proved to be the X factor. Xcal on the Sombra did so much work, not only showing up in the kill feed, but while invisible, scouted out so many pushes from Bearclaw before they even manifested.
And that is, I think, is going to do it for our game. And I think the stream here on Bad Pachamari League. Of course, we do have a lot more coming at you for the rest of the weekend. And on the Natter Overwatch channel, the mainstream is still going on. I think you've got a whole other game going on for that one, so feel free to take a look at that game, because that's the winner's bracket right there. That is like where the real high rollers are that have just been on a massive win streak so far this weekend. But Rose, bit of a short game, but a really fun one. Any last thoughts here before I sign us off?
Well, I think if you're Bearclaw Gaming, you have a lot to take away from this event. Obviously, you made it pretty deep in the tournament. This, for what is like one of the first real significant Overwatch 2 tournaments that's open to the world, I don't think your stay here was a waste at all. And, you know, I'd just like to extend a loving thank you to our production staff brought over from the Bad Pachamari League. Today wouldn't be possible without your hard work and fantastic show running this tournament.
And of course, I've got to give a shout out to all of our sponsors here. It's a bit of a list because a lot had to come together to make something like this happen. So thank you so much. The Rank Up, Team Unlimited, Serenity, Dramatic Gaming, Beyond Ranked, Hour Zero, Jenghua, Questline Esports, Fight Ramen, Champria, and Esports Taller for everything that you guys have done for this league. Of course, also thanks to Solomon on production today, Mark and Aaron, who were observing, did a fantastic job, and of course, Bad Pachamori for hosting the production. Once again, we still have more Natter Beta Clash tonight on the main Natter Overwatch channel, so if you want to see more fantastic Tier 3, Tier 2 action on the beta patch, head over there, and that's going to end up going on for the rest of the night. And of course, come back tomorrow for Day 3. The competition is just going to get better and better as it goes on. But for everyone in front of and behind the camera, my name is Dividing. I have been with Rose Hour. Thank you and see you next time.
What's up, everybody? Chef Billy back here with you with Map 5 Podcast, and I've got Rocket in the booth with me here today. Rocket, why don't you introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are?
What's up? I'm Rocket. I'm the hitscan DPS for Wisp. And yeah, I mean, hitscan might be a little bit of a stretch. I mainly play a lot of Tracer right now, but maybe one day I'll open up my hero pool. We'll see. But yeah, that's basically all there is to me.
Well, speaking about playing Overwatch, we've got a beta out there, and we know that you have been practicing a lot on the beta, getting ready for, you know, potential Path to Pro stuff coming up. So, what's your favorite part of the beta so far?
I think my favorite part of the beta so far is the amount of people that are coming back to, you know, play Overwatch again. The game has, I mean, I have felt that it's been great, like 2020, 2021, all of that. It's been a great game. But, you know, for the general public and people who aren't necessarily super into the Path to Pro, coming back to see like the game again one more time, and seeing what like really has changed, you know, I won't lie, the player base maybe did take a little bit of a dip, like 2019, 2020. Everyone's coming back now. It feels like the old days, and it's like quite interesting. That's definitely my favorite part, though.
What would you like to see in the next step of the beta here for Overwatch 2?
I think the most obvious one for me as a pro player would be ranked. I think although, you know, quick play is fun, and I think it's good to, you know, get the ball rolling with quick play, ranked is something that's going to be necessary, I think, in the next generation. You know, especially for the pro players mainly, because, you know, the Overwatch League going on, contenders players want to practice, everyone wants to practice, and sometimes it's just not optimal to play, you know, quick play against plot players, diamond players. No hate on them, you know, it's just optimal practice creates optimal results. So I think that's definitely the main thing I'd hope to see next beta.
So what would you say to people who are skeptical about the first beta that came out?
I think there's not really. I mean, obviously there are things to be skeptical. You know, one new hero, only a few new maps. It does seem a little bit daunting at first to see. You know, these guys took like 3 years or 4 years to, you know, give us all this. But I think there's a lot more in store in the future. And I think if we can maybe keep a more open mind, you know, look towards, you know, the future, I think there will be a lot of great things in store for us. And this isn't the end all be all. Beta ends relatively soon. Before we know it, the next one will roll out, and after that, who knows when the game will come out. But I'm sure it'll be a great piece of work once it's finally released.
This is where you get to have a little bit of a spicy take. If you could make one improvement to our Path to Pro system as it stands right now, what would it be?
I think this one might be a little bit of a distant take, but I really would like to see more representation from the Asia Pacific and Japan, like all the other Asia Pacific, like South America again, especially too. I think especially in games like Valorant, we're seeing third-party regions that not like your big ones like your Europe, your Korea, your NA. These like underdog regions like Asia Pacific and South America are really like coming in and showing off like what they can do. And I think if we give that chance maybe one more time to the Overwatch community, especially with the new game coming out, people coming back from those regions who could potentially be interested. And I think that'd be one of the greatest improvements we can make. Opening up international lands maybe with players from those regions. Something like a gauntlet with representation from like Pan Asia Pacific area, like Indonesia, all South America, all those regions. I think it would really just make the game feel more international and less kind of restricted, as not to say it is now, but I think it definitely would be an interesting thing to see them bring back.
Sure.
I think it'd be awesome. I think it'd be awesome to see, and there's so much talent that's untapped there that I think would be really interesting to give those players kind of a gateway to where they don't have to play in like OCE contenders on like 140 ping or Korean contenders where it's a lot more difficult. Give them a platform to where they can really prove themselves. I think it'd be interesting to see the amount of talent that could come out of those regions.
We like the international feel and the inclusivity of our game. Hopefully that can come back. I actually really like that take coming from you. So anything that you want to say out to Natter's community, out to the community at whole before we let you go?
Not much. I mean, thanks everyone for watching. Was 100 and something participants in this tournament. It's insane for an Overwatch Open tournament. I'm glad everyone's coming together to play the game again. And I hope everyone enjoys the stream.
Well, thank you so much, Rocket, for spending a little bit of your night with us.
Yep.
But that's going to do it for us here. I'm Chef Billy with Map 5. Now back to the action at Natter's Beta Overwatch Tournament.